So now I've got my kerfing here. Now it is nice, like it curves quite nicely around that perimeter. You can have your solid lining, you can have your reverse kerfing. This is standard Martin style kerfing, same stuff that Gibson uses too. They're very similar. And before I can glue it on, I also want to make sure that I don't have anything that's sticking out and causing trouble. So I'll just grab a little bit of sandpaper here. And I see there's one little clump of glue over there. So I'm going to clean that up. This side's nice and clean. So what I'm going to do is take these spring clamps, binder clips, dump them in there. All the dust. Okay, so then I'm going to go around this perimeter, this. Having the kerfing so it's sitting just barely above the edge. So I'm going to have to sand the kerfing down as well. Once you get closer to this waist, then it's not a bad idea to just be a little extra careful. Sometimes you can put a little water on the kerfing too if you find that your waist is quite tight. I think, James, your waist is going to be a little bit tighter than the Dreadnought in this LOO style guitar. I'm just putting these incrementally in there. And broke there, that's not a big deal. I can actually take this off quite nicely. Okay, so I'm going to take this saw. I'm going to cut the kerfing. The kerfing is so thin, this one spot, that's pretty easy to cut it without having to worry about using too much muscle. Fits quite nicely. I'm just going to trim it there. That's pretty okay. So now I have the kerfing cut so it fits. That one's ready to glue. I will repeat the process for this other side. And I don't like that piece there, so I'm going to, I'll use this side. This side's a little bit nicer. I'll clean this up over here so it has a nicer beginning. So binder clips are available at Staples. They're cheap and they're wonderful clamps. I've used clothespins for a while. I was buying these spring clamps, and then one day I was looking on the interweb and I looked at a picture of Jean Lervet's shop from the 1980s, and he had a whole bunch of guitars in this state, and he was just using these simple binder clips. So that was pretty neat. This one here is going to have to get trimmed. If you're really paranoid about scratching your toe block, then you can figure out a different way of doing that, but quite honestly it doesn't matter. And I'll be carving that section down anyway later on with the chisel. So that little mark will be gone. I'm just going to inspect, make sure that it in fact actually fits. And yeah, there wasn't quite enough space for that little extra tooth, that little extra piece of kerfing to fit in there, so it's a little shy. I'll move it over on this side so it's a little bit further away so it's sort of balanced. And that should be good. So now I know that my kerfing is the proper length. I know that my sides are radius, but before I actually glue this kerfing on, I am going to do a bit of a visual check just to make sure that is in fact true, just to be safe. Last thing you want to have is you glue it on and you realize it's all wonky. And pretty pretty nice. I think it'll be just dandy.
So good to flash a light through the top. You can see light through.
Yeah, you can do that. And I would say this stage is really close.
Yeah.
After the kerfing's on, I'll sand it again, and then I'll make sure that it's like perfect. So then the next step is finding my tight bond. I'll grab one of these ones. And you don't want to use too much glue on this this joint because it can make a mess of things. You don't want to have glue dripping all over your inside of the rim. So I've got a bead of glue like that. And spread that down, and then I'll spread that back, making sure that every square millimeter of this has glue. I used to make all my kerfing, but I used to make my purflings and everything, and I felt like a real luthier. And then I started buying them, and I still felt like a real luthier. So now I'm going to pull this back 1/16 of an inch. Just let that sit there. You don't want to put a clamp here, clamp there, because if it tacks up and it's not in the right spot, then you're going to have a mess to clean up. So, but you want to be quick, you know, you got about a 6-minute working time with this glue. So it's already been almost a minute or so. So we'll want to quickly get these clamps in place. Every once in a while I'll put one of these spring clamps in just to make sure that there's adequate pressure. Sometimes it twists a little bit because it's radius, right? So it's actually going up and down. It's not just a straight line like a Martin or a Gibson is. The way that they make their guitars is the sides are just tapered. They're a straight line. Whereas this is a curved line all the way around. If you take these sides and check them out later, you realize that they're a little curvy. So on the waist, I like to put extra spring clamps. That way I can be sure that it's got a nice, good, firm amount of pressure right in that spot. And go back to the binder clips. Binder clips are nice too because they're square on top, so you kind of push down and it holds them in place. And we'll do the same thing for the other side, and then it'll be ready to radius, and then we can fit the tops. Cool?